Everybody, I'm Ted Padromo, and this is my friend Matt Gillogly. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ted. Looking forward to this.
Congratulations on your new book. I hear you got a new book
Thanks,
out.
man. Yeah, it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do, right? And so now that I've done it, it's like, what are we going to do next? So I can't wait. It's been a lot of fun, and working with doctors is something I'm incredibly passionate about. So um, I'm glad to finally have it done. You know what they always say: the first one is the hardest. It's like kids. It's like the first brownie out of the pan, right? It's always going to be a little messed up, but at least you got it out of the
Yeah. So I met you, I guess it was like 2006, I think we met. And you were
pan.
in
God, have we known each
sales
other
for
that
Perry
long?
Marshall.
Yeah,
Because I went to a 4-man intensive at his house and you sold it to me.
I did. Oh, thanks for the commission check. I appreciate that. You
Sure.
probably paid my rent that month.
So you've had
Um,
quite a journey from a sales, you've been in sales forever, and then you got into
mhm.
medical practice. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's really weird. So, I'll give you the quick version. So I was in the get rich in real estate space, did seminars all over the country, did deals all over the country. Then this little thing called the Great Recession hit. There was nothing great about it. And then I wound up doing some work for our mutual friend, Perry Marshall, who's brilliant at Google AdWords and just a brilliant guy all around. And and through that, I met a guy, mutual friend of ours, John Paul Mendoza, and he introduced me to the erectile dysfunction business. We used to travel together, and he would tell me that I was perfect for the business because it's kind of a high end deal. And I wound up in 2014, which is hard to believe that is that 6, 7 years now, 7 years ago. On January 21st of 2014, I opened my first clinic. We did $14,000 in the first day.
Wow.
And we were profitable every quarter that we opened. We opened, including the first quarter that we were open, we opened up 3 locations in 18 months and did $6.5 million a year. And the profit margins on that were really, really good. I will just leave it at that. And then, in 2017, I had a partner. We decided to split, go our separate ways, sold them off. And since that time, took about a year off. And then since that time, I've been working directly with doctors that own cash-based practices. They do anti-aging, men's and women's sexual health, erectile dysfunction, things like vaginal dryness and like bladder leakage and regenerative medicine. So I help them scale their practices to $7 million a year, or I'm sorry, $1 million a year, 7 figures a year, not $7 million a year. Getting
Well,
close on that.
eventually 7 million.
Yeah, eventually. So yeah, it's great. I love it. I never thought that I used to be the kind of guy that would get queasy walking by um, a Walgreens Band-Aid department, and now I'm talking about medical stuff all day long, like it's like I'm talking about buying socks. So I love
Right.
it. I absolutely love it.
So
So
how
it's
many of
great.
these kind of clinics are out there, these cash clinics?
There's a lot more than you realize, right? It's hard to get specific numbers on it because it's not a quote unquote SIC code, in our world, right, where we can pull the list. Um, but I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a metropolis. We're a top 30 metropolis. We have 2.8 million people. And I would bet that there's between regenerative, anti-aging, men's and women's sexual health, concierge medical practices, I'd bet that there's, plastic surgeons, I would bet that there's 80 to 100 at least. So what I do is very different than concierge. Concierge is kind of a membership. What I'm doing is I'm working with people that, these are things that are not covered by traditional insurance, but a lot of times are really the best solution for the patient. So these are procedures that go for $2,500, $10,000, $15,000, things like that.
Right. Yeah, the things that aren't covered under standard medical, but people pay cash for it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's sometimes, like I said, a lot of times the best thing for them, right? Your wife's a nurse. You understand the drill, or I should an NP. So
Right.
yeah.
So what are some of the
Yeah.
mistakes people make when they're marketing their clinics?
Well, okay. So the first mistake is that doctors go to school to become doctors, and I'm not saying anything out of turn here, but I will tell you that 99% of the doctors I know are lousy businessmen and women. They really don't know much about running a business, and it's really, quite frankly, not their fault, right? So if you look at this on a scale, right? If they're medical skill, they fall into the better mousetrap, right? They think that if I'm a really good technician, if I get just one little bit more of training or I buy the really cool machine, that's going to translate into new patients, and it doesn't. So their medical skill is like an 8, 9, or 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. But their marketing and business skills are like a 2 or a 3, which means that they're perpetually going to be and a struggle. So the first thing they have to do is they have to realize that, and the big mistake then they make is they try to outsource all of that. They hire an office manager, and then what they do is they hire the most inexpensive, quote unquote, Facebook agency they can find, and then the leads that come in are garbage. So what I tell them, and what I tell them in the book, The Anatomy of a Seven-Figure Medical Practice, is that you need to accept the fact that your business skills are a 2, a 3, or a 4. And what we want to do is, I don't need you to be at my level to understand marketing or your level. What I really want them to be is, I want them to be at like a 6 or a 7. Okay, so they're going to have to learn some stuff. And that will protect them so that they won't get caught, or they won't be really kind of taken advantage of. So that's the first thing that they really need to learn. They have to accept that. As I tell my doctors, I'm as much money as they have spent learning their craft as a doctor, and they've probably have spent like, $250,000, $300,000. They've been in school for 12 plus years, not counting. This is after they graduated from high school. And what we need to do is, what I help them understand is, I've spent just as much time and money, actually probably more. I've probably spent at least $500,000, if not more, on my marketing education. So I'm as good a doctor as they are a business person. Mm-hmm. And I'll be very frank, you do not want me to be your doctor.
Right.
Okay? I know just enough to be dangerous. And so when I get them to accept that reality, that we can have a symbiotic relationship when I work with them, it really, the lights goes like their defenses go down. I'm like, look, I have no doubt you're a great doctor. Right. Okay. I've met very few doctors that are horrible. I'm sure somebody will post something different in the comments, but the horrible doctors they've seen. But the doctors I work with they're really smart. They're really talented. We just need to help them get their business and marketing skills up to speed. So that's the first big mistake that they make, is they don't accept that. So I'll stop there.
No, you can apply that pretty much to anything, like coaches, consultants. They're really good at what they do, but they don't know how to do the business end or the marketing. Yeah. It's a whole nother skill. So accept it, move on, hire the right people.
Yep. I always tell them the story, look, if building a better mousetrap was what it took, then, we'd all be driving Edsels because it was a great car. But, everybody would be using Microsoft Windows and wouldn't think twice about it. Nobody, Apple wouldn't exist.
Right.
Microsoft made billions of dollars selling beta. So something that wasn't complete, and they just kept sending out patches for us to fix it. So, that's the first big thing I want them to understand.
Yeah. What's the second thing?
So then the second thing I want them to understand is that there is a methodology to scale your practice. Okay. And what I did is I call it the stairway to 7 figures. And there's a very specific process that you go through to scale up your practice. And this process is just like the process for fixing erectile dysfunction, right? Or to fixing vaginal dryness, whatever their thing is that they're fixing. There is a specific process. Mm-hmm. And the first part of any of these processes is that you need to understand the vitals of your patient, and you need to understand that patient's history. Okay. So the vitals, so if you go to see a doctor, right, they're going to do your blood pressure, they're going to do your weight, they're going to do your height, right? They're going to, maybe if they go a little bit more advanced, they're going to put you on a DEXA scanner and figure out your body fat percentage. And then they may even go a little bit further and they'll do some blood work. And the blood work never lies, right? You can, the guy or gal will tell you, oh, I'm not drinking at all and I'm eating great. And they've, they're type 2 diabetic and, they're headed for a heart attack and a stroke. So we have to then dig into what their numbers are, what's really going on. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to then build a plan. We're going to install the process. And the first part of the process for all of it is what I call the beachhead. And the beachhead is a military term. It's the place where you get the toehold on the continent, where you then expand out. So in World War II, when we invaded, in beaches in Normandy, that was the beachhead. We put all of our men, material, and assets to establish a beachhead in Normandy. And then from there, we went on to conquer the European continent and defeat Nazi Germany. So it's the same thing. You need to have a beachhead for your offer. You have to have a specific offer targeted to a specific group that's kind of like a no-brainer that they can take. And then from there, then you can offer them all the other cool things that you do. Okay. Right. So the beachhead is the first part. The second thing is we have to convert. We want to convert that person into an appointment, and then we want to convert them into a front end offer, right? So the conversion process for doctors is generally, they talk about how great the doctor is. They talk about all their knowledge. They talk about how cool they are. And I keep telling them, nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares where you went to school. Nobody cares where, in this, especially in this space, nobody cares where you went to school. Nobody cares what big words you know. Nobody gives a rat's ass what your machine is called. They don't care about any of that. Yeah. If I have erectile dysfunction and I failed using pills, potions, pumps, and porn, what I really want to know is, can you get me an erection? I don't care how you get me an erection. I don't care what you do. All I need to be able to do is I want to be able to make love to my partner again, right? Yeah. And so this is, when you put it into those terms and context, or if I have a bad knee, right, and I don't want to have surgery, I just want to be able to sleep throughout the night without pain, right? I want to be able to, you know, when you've had your health issues, and I won't just close your health issues, but like you, when you had that other issue, right, you would have paid anything in order to make it go away, right?
Yeah.
You wanted somebody to understand your pain. You've got to do the Bill Clinton. You've got to do the, I feel your pain. And that's what your customer wants. I do not have sexual relations.
I don't care where you went to school. Just fix my knee so I can sleep at night. That's the bottom line.
I don't care. I want to play soccer with my grandkids, right? I want to be able to play golf again. I'm tired of being 20 pounds overweight because I can't work out in the gym or whatever it is. So you have to have this beachhead, right? And you've got to speak to the patient about their pain. Yeah. Once you get them in the door, once you kind of get them down the path, then you can introduce to them and show them that you're credible, but they're just assuming that you are.
Right. So that's where you say, would you like fries with that hamburger? After you get them in the door for the hamburger.
Right. Yeah. And so then the next step is you have to have a predictable script to follow that will convert people without you being like feeling like a sleazy salesperson. And that's the other big hurdle that doctors say is like, well, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to sell them too hard. I'm like, look, do you want to eat? Do you want to send your kids to college? So I'm going to show you how you can close people just by asking, you literally ask them 9 questions in order. And if they answer question number 6 with no, you stop asking the questions. You say, thank you very much. Have a nice day. So it's what I call our big money script. So it's 9 questions that you ask them. And at the end, if you do it right, the prospect will ask you how they can work with you. And at that juncture, then you can lay it out. So you're not having to do trial closes and, you know, give me you want to raise? Does that sound interesting to you? Raise your hand, right? You don't have to do any of that, right? Ted Thomas, Ted. What we're going to do is you're going to raise your hand and we're going to buy everything. So then, and yeah, I see Boyd saying dentists are especially bad at this. Yeah, basically anybody with a white lab coat sucks at selling. Let's just be very frank about it.
Right.
Because what they want to do is they want to get into logic. You know, doctors are logical people, and so they think people make decisions by logic.
Right.
And what I explain to them is every buy decision you've ever made is emotional. Right?
Especially with the body, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about with marriage? Right? Because we know what the statistics are with marriage, right? We've got a 55% failure rate. Yeah. And if you're the breadwinner, you're the guy, that means that you've got a 55% chance of moving onto your buddy's couch and giving up all the good furniture and then paying out alimony and child support. But you know these statistics clearly going in. And yet, why do you do it? Mm-hmm. I mean, not to mention the other things that you know statistically, that you're probably going to have less sex over time and, you know, all of these things, right? Especially if you have kids. This is well-known data. And yet, why do people get married? It's not because of logic. Because if it was logic, you'd be like, not doing that.
Right.
You know, I've been through a divorce after 25 years. It was awful. It was the most god-awful thing in the world. It was horrible. And so you know, why do you do it? Because of emotion, because of love. Now, I can't tell you what love is. I can't tell you how to fall in love. I couldn't tell my kids how to fall in love. I can't tell you how to stay in love, right? I can't tell you how to do one of these things because it's an ethereal, emotional thing. Mm-hmm. And once they understand that concept, and the best part about it is then everybody goes out and they get married again. And that's a 65% failure rate, right? Yeah. I know this full well, met a gal, moved in together, bought a house together, right? We know full well what the statistics are, but why do we do it? Because we're in love.
Yeah.
And so you have to if people are going to buy, you have to keep them in an emotional state. Emotion supported by a dash of logic, and not emotion like an emotional hype salesperson, but emotion like asking these 9 questions in order. And that gets them into emotional state.
And there's probably like a natural progression of products or services you can sell them too. They come in for one thing and they say, okay, here's, based on my other clients, here's 3 more things that they could potentially want or need.
Yeah, so a classic example of this is, and I'll use our ED clinics as an example. So our front end offer was come to the clinic one time, meet with the doctor, get a test dose. If you don't see results within 12 minutes in the office, you owe us nothing. Result meaning they were going to have, they were going to be up. That's our guarantee to you. Now that front end offer, we had like a 95% success rate on their first visit. So that front end offer, and we converted 50%, 55% of the people on their first visit into some form of treatment plan. And then the second step of that was then we did HRT, hormone replacement therapy, which was like a month annuity because it was, they paid us monthly. Then we had platelet-rich plasma, P-shot, things like that to fix other erectile issues. We did hair restoration. We were going to be adding some medically guided weight loss. So all of those things, but our front end was ED. So I have clients of mine who focus on women's sexual health. Their front end is fixing your light bladder leakage. It's the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's a major issue. 85 million women suffer from it, blah, 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 blah. But they have stuff on the complete other end of it that goes for like $10,000, $15,000. I have another friend of mine. He built one med spa into a regional group of 25, sold them to a venture capitalist group, made a crap ton of money. And he owned them for 15 years. His front end offer was buy one, get 2 hair restorations for free. And his average lifetime value, now buy one, get 2 free, it's like $99, right? It's really cheap. The lifetime value of a customer to him was something like $17,000.
Wow.
Because he did cool sculpting, he did all these other things. That was his beachhead. That's what he got him in on. And he had a very systematic process through which to upsell them into other things they wanted desperately.
And it's just ask those 9 questions and you can kind of lead them to see if they're interested.
Yep, it's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's actually probably pretty close to the same 9 questions I asked you to spend money with Barry Marshall.
Right.
So I've been literally using them since like 1998. I've modified them a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, but they're probably the exact same 9 questions I've been asking since 2006.
Yeah, because it's selling is selling. Basically, it's getting them to be talking about the emotions of it, their feelings, and what's important to them. Yeah. That's cool.
Hey, maybe that'll be my next book. 9 questions you can ask any prospect to get them to ask you to buy.
Hey, people will buy it.
You can write the foreword, Ted. I'll let you write the foreword.
There you go. So what else are they going to learn in this book?
Well, then what else they're going to learn is they're going to learn how to put this. They're going to learn how to create a monthly recurring revenue so that they don't have any peaks and valleys, because this business is very transactional based. And especially, in this time frame where we have COVID, a lot of my clinics were closed for 2 months. Now, luckily, they followed my advice and they made up in the next 2 months of being open what they would have done. They made up those lost 2 months plus some, plus a lot of them grew 20%. But you want to have a monthly recurring revenue. You and I know the power of this, right? Every business I've owned since Dan Kennedy taught me monthly recurring revenue in 2004. Every business I've had has had monthly recurring revenue. And I want it to be able to cover my fixed expenses so that I can sleep better at night. Because then when I have that monthly recurring revenue coming in, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night with heart palpitations, right? I know what my revenue is going to be. And so that's the next stage. And then the final stage of the stairway system is how to sell the high-end 5% offer. And that's where the money is made. You've already acquired the customer. You have I really learned to fine tune this with our friend Perry Marshall of the 80-20 is, and it was in our clinics, 20% of our clients generated 80% of the revenue. I think it was like 19 generated 77%. Close enough, right? But I had guys that would spend $15,000 a year with me. I didn't care then if I had a non-buyer. What I wanted more like him, right? I wanted more people that came from that. So that's it, right? So that's the stairway, and it's in here. I lay all this out in the book, right? So you'll see it right here is, you have the entire stairway system right there. I lay it all out for you and I explain it to you. And it's very systematic. So even though I have ADHD, I'm a high energy guy. I love systems. because then I can set something up one time, let it run, and then I don't have to keep going back and fixing it.
Right.
Like
you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel every month with your clinic. It's like, follow this. This is what works. Just do this.
Yep. I have a client out in Southern California, Dr. Nicole Garcia, and she does her clinic part-time. She does erectile dysfunction, and she's got it set up that her stuff is, what she does for her clients is kind of a monthly recurring revenue model, and she's consistently growing by $5,000 a month. She literally works 2 days a week in her clinic. She has a child who's special needs, so she can't work a ton. She does a little bit of part-time work for another doctor, but this clinic is steadily growing, adding $5,000 a month every single month. And it's like clockwork because she knows now. She knows the number. She gets this guy in. He does this percentage closes. He's going to buy that. Bam, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
We just went over her numbers this morning, and she's like, this is stunning. And, sometimes front ends get broken, right? So she's like, okay, so my front end's broken, but I'm still growing my revenue because I'm adding, people that have been coming in or adding in and all of that, and my revenues are solid. I'm not dependent on the transaction of the day.
Right. That's awesome. So where can we get this book?
All right. So the best place to get it is you go online to srpmedicalmarketing.com. That's srpmedicalmarketing.com/book, BOOK. So that's srpmedicalmarketing.com/book. And I'm also going to give you, it's a traditional free book offer, right? You pay $7.95 shipping and handling. But the other thing I'm going to do, physical book, I will ship it to you. I will actually touch the book. So the next thing is that we're going to give you $1,197 worth of free bonuses. One of those free bonuses is the big money script. You will have the actual 9 questions. My clients pay big money for that. I'm going to be giving that to you for free. So you'll have the actual 9 questions plus about an 8 to 10 minute training video on it. I have an interview with Mr. X, a good friend of ours who just released the best book on Facebook advertising about why doctors fail using Facebook advertising and what to do about it. So you'll have that. And then I'm going to give you the 10 commandments of running a cash-based medical practice video series. That is going to be given to you as well. That is $1,197 of the value. If for any reason you are not satisfied in any way, shape, or form, all you have to do is contact our office. You'll talk to my assistant, April. She'll refund the shipping and handling, keep everything. It's on me. So that's, again, go to srpmedicalmarketing.com/book, and everything is laid out there.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah. Congratulations again on the book.
Thanks, Ted. When are you going to do your 14th version of LinkedIn?
Next week. Get the weekend update changes, and then I'll write the book again.
Yeah, by the way, for those of you that don't know, writing every time Ted does a revision of the book, he's like, why did I ever sign up to do this? Because it's so much, it changes so much.
I love it. I love it. Cool. Thanks, Matt. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ted. You too. Enjoy the skiing. I'll see y'all. Thanks, everyone.